Thank you all for being here this evening. I guess it's already evening since it gets dark at 5. We can call it evening at 5 o'clock. Welcome to the annual update for downtown Toledo for ConnecToledo. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Paul Toth, and I'm the president of ConnecToledo. And I'm overwhelmed at the number and quality of people that are here this evening, and I think we got actually a great update for you. I happen to be just the bearer of good news. I get to take no credit for what's happened in downtown, but it's been an unbelievable 18 months of fits and starts, and one thing that I'm just ecstatic about is the fact that nothing stopped in downtown Toledo. It just kept rolling, and we've got a hell of a lot to be proud of as a community. And I hope we can get everybody feeling good about what's happening and where we're headed. So let's get started. ConnecToledo, again, for those of you that may be new to us, is really a merger of the Downtown Toledo Development Corporation and the Downtown Toledo Improvement District. And the DTID was actually established in 2006, and then the two organizations merged in 2017. And we basically have a pretty simple mission, and that's really to be kind of the glue to bring together public-private partnerships. We were really formed with the advent of the master plan in 2017, and that's really when ConnecToledo got kicked off, and our goal was to work with all of our partners to get all of the priorities of that master plan completed. And while we're not going to go through all of that master plan from 2017, suffice it to say that we've completed almost virtually everything that we set out to do. And again, very proud of the partners and the commitment in the community. About a month ago, we accepted an award from the International Downtown Association for that 2017 master plan. It was an award of excellence, not only for the plan itself, but for the fact that we were able to implement all the recommendations in that plan in such a short amount of time. So it's great to be recognized as a community. I want to talk a little bit about some of ConnecToledo's activities over the past year. Starting off with the property down on the river that was owned by Norfolk Southern. ConnecToledo actually purchased that property. We found it as a strategic acquisition. So we acquired that property and then sold it to the MetroParks as part of the Glass City Riverwalk. The first building's actually been demolished, and the second one's coming down soon, and it's just completely opened up the view of that area down there. And this is really the last phase of the Glass City Riverwalk, but this was a critical acquisition, and we were happy to partner up with the MetroParks to get that project completed. We've also been working on historic districts for downtown. For those of you that aren't aware, if a building is located within a historic district, it qualifies for both federal and state tax credits. And virtually all of our major redevelopment projects in downtown Toledo in the last 10 years have been tax credit projects. So we worked with the local consulting team, and we submitted a historic district for the Central Business District, which really starts at the river, goes up to 10th Street, and goes from Monroe Street all the way over to Adams or Jackson. And that has actually been approved by the state of Ohio, has been sent to the National Park Service, and we expect before the end of the year to have that district fully in place. So that will render all of the buildings within that area qualified for historic preservation tax credits, which we think will be critical to keep the momentum going in downtown. Let me back up. We're also, we just awarded a contract for creating one or potentially two historic districts in the uptown area. And we've also begun work on the other side of the river on Front and Main Street. There are a lot of historic buildings up and down Main Street, and we're working on a historic district there as well. And I'm going to share with you some of the positive momentum that's happening over there on the east side as well. community entertainment districts are in place to allow a community like Toledo, a downtown area, to apply, put a district in place, and get up to 15 liquor licenses for that, so that they don't have to compete with the rest of Lucas County, which I think we're actually out of liquor licenses in Lucas County. So this has been critical to supporting the entrepreneurs and the bars and restaurants. Originally, we had 4 community entertainment districts. We have redesigned them and applied for several others, and you can see actually district number 1 was just approved in August. That stretches down Summit Street and supports some of the development that's happening down there. District 2 will be the east side and along Front Street, and then we've reconstructed 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8 so that we can expand and make sure that we have plenty of liquor licenses for establishments that need it. We also, in conjunction, partnership with the City of Toledo, we completed a residential demand study, and there really a lot of good news that came out of that. I'm going to share a few of the statistics with you. Out of that study, we learned that about 49% of people living in Toledo are renters. 51% people own, but 49% are renters. That is an increase of about 10% since 2000. 37% of households are single-person households. However, found this interesting, only about 14% of the rental units are studio or 1-bedroom. So there's a bit of a mismatch there, and we think that's an opportunity to learn from as we go forward. Toledo ranks 8th in the nation in attracting millennials as a percentage of new population moving into the community. That's a really good statistic. There are plenty of other communities that are attracting a lot more people to their community, but when we're leading or in the top 10 in the nation in the percentage of millennials, that's exactly where we want to be. And I guess as an addition to that, 69% of the recent moves into Toledo were in their 20s and 30s. Current occupancy for downtown rental units is at 97%. We consider that full occupancy. Market rental rates for downtown apartment units have increased approximately 15% since 2019. Now remember, 2020 and 2021 were years of COVID. Those are amazing statistics for what we have. So the key takeaways really are that the market's strong downtown, rents are rising, occupancy is very high, the rental market's strong, and there's also demand for sale units as well. We see that as an opportunity. One of the recommendations that came out of the study was that we build, one of the challenges with historic tax credits is you can't redevelop the property and then sell it. You have to maintain ownership and lease it. And so the recommendation was to build units as rental units, but have the ability to convert them to condos down the road. So we'll continue to work with our developers on making sure that we're aware of that. And then one of the challenges that we have that we're very aware of is the fact that we need to develop a affordability strategy for downtown, and so we're looking at what other markets are doing to make sure that we're not just building 100% of market rate units, but also figuring out how we consider affordable units in there as part of the mix as well. So we'll be working with all of our developers in and around downtown over the next 12 months to make sure that we are all on the same page with this. Parking enforcement began January 1st. I got to tell a quick story. So I had lunch today at Dirty Bird, and I pulled up to the parking meter, and I jumped out and I walked in thinking it was still free parking from 11:30 to 1:30. And Luckily, I saw some guy get out of his car and pull his phone out, and he's looking at the meter, and I quickly realized that I forgot to do that. So anyway, as of January 1, it was a recommendation in the parking study several years ago. We transitioned over. The parking kiosks. This is a new parking kiosk. Instead of meters along Summit Street and Erie Street, we've gone to kiosks. This is something we're looking at implementing around downtown. And then the other thing that we've been working on over the past couple of years is implementing the new fence standard along parking lots along public right-of-ways. Because of COVID, we have delayed that, but now that things are starting to get somewhere back to normal, you're gonna see a lot of parking lots that will be converted to brick pillars and decorative fencing along our public right-of-ways into 2022. Our ambassadors are part of the clean and safe operation downtown. They do an unbelievable job. Toledo, I have to say, I was in an area today where they're not part of our special improvement district, and it's a stark difference between what we have in our core and what I see in areas around Toledo. There's trash and other things, and our ambassadors do an unbelievable job of keeping things clean and safe, and they power wash, they get rid of graffiti. We now have planters in and around downtown. They're maintaining those, and so very, very pleased with what's going on there. The DTID board this year authorized 60 new self-watering planters in and around downtown, mostly along Summit, Madison, St. Clair, all around, kind of around the area that we were focused on for Solheim and the other activities this year, but I think it looks great. Cindy Kerr from our staff did a great job researching that. We are now planning 20 or 30 new planters next year, and we're going to continue to build that so that we have a downtown that's aesthetically pleasing, walkable, and people appreciate it. We've also done some things to try to clean things up where we had vacant store windows. We were able to work with the Arts Commission to get some art in public places done. We also have been working with the city on getting trees replaced and really helping to build the tree canopy downtown. Marketing and communications is a big part of what we do, especially with DTID, and I won't go through all this, but suffice it to say that our staff is constantly trying to get the good word out of what's going on downtown and make sure that people are aware of the momentum we have. We also coordinate events and support events. Of course, our signature event is Lunch at Levis Square on Thursdays. That's always a big hit. This year we launched in 2021 Levis Under the Lights, which was a couple of Fridays this fall where we had bands and allowed the surrounding restaurants that have access to Dora to provide refreshments, and that was a great hit as well. And 2022 is going to be a big push to continue to activate downtown and coordinate with all of the other organizations that are doing the same. So I want to talk about some of the redevelopment activities. Briefly, a few that I want to it's amazing to me, in spite of all that we've been through, that we had all of these new vendors. Don Juan, which just opened up at 300 Madison, Ernest Brew Works, Earth, Firefly is new, Hannon's Block restaurant, Heavy Beer Company, you're going to hear from Andrew in a little bit. The Brick Bar, which was formerly a restaurant, is now a entertainment bar. The Garden at Fakash's, I know Eddie's here, he's very happy with how things are going there. Business is good, and we continue to bring people not only to the traditional locations, but kind of spreading them out through downtown. Coming restaurants include Bobcat Bonnie's over at Ford Industry Square. Just opened up the City View Event Center over at the Docks Restaurants. Lucille's Jazz Lounge, which is down on Summit Street at Will Lucas's new facility down there. Of Quenched and Tempered is a brewery opening up on Jackson. Poco Piatti is going over to the MetroParks, and Coops is coming downtown as well. So we continue to see great momentum. And then we had some retailers that opened up in 2021 as well. Art on the Market Shops, which is down in the Erie Street Market. Copper Bowl down over on Erie Street. Midwest Kids is in the old Sophia Lustig space. Groomed Gallery, Forever Bridal opened up in Library Square. Ouch Massage Therapy over in Perry's building on Erie and Adams, and the Wonderland Studio. So continue to make good momentum, and it's great to see these local entrepreneurs taking a chance and making downtown Toledo a better place to be. We're also celebrating the arts. I don't know if anybody saw. If you didn't see it, go online and type in Toledo mural in YouTube. There's a wonderful CBS Sunday Morning video about Toledo and the work that happened around that mural on the grain silos. We also have 2 new murals along the riverfront, and then the Arts Commission sponsored a utility box wraps on Jefferson Avenue, and we hope to work with them to continue to do that throughout downtown. Return of significant events. I'm not sure that we'll ever have a year as exciting as we did in 2021. Jeep Fest came back bigger than ever, but a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with the Solheim Cup, and Toledo just absolutely knocked it out of the park, both downtown and out at Inverness Club, and we have so much to be proud of with respect to that. The momentum with the Arts Commission. Winterfest is coming back. Everyone's got to be excited about that as well, and hopefully we can continue to bring more people down here with more activities in the next year. A lot of activity happening in the middle grounds in the warehouse district. LMH is looking at a transitional housing project over in the old Park Hotel. I know I talked to Matt Sutter, and they've got a handful of challenges there, but I'm confident that they'll get through that, and hopefully we can all come together on that. The Hotel Royale that's been closed and boarded up for as long as I can remember is in the midst of a redevelopment. I know they've completed the roof on that and working on that. The Toledo Federation of Teachers have a new space over on St. Clair Street, and then Red Line Circuit Training moved into the building on Ontario, I think that is. This is a good, again, a local entrepreneur that was operating out a space on Morris Street, and he outgrew it, and now he's moved over here and continue to see great momentum. The east side of Toledo, there is a new master plan that was done for what we call the Garfield neighborhood over there. And the city of Toledo and the MetroParks have hired Edge Group, which is a local landscape architect, and there's some renderings of concepts of what Front Street could look like as we look to slow the traffic that goes up and down Front Street. Front Street's basically a 5-lane highway, and our goal is to try to calm the traffic and connect that neighborhood better to the Glass City Metro Park, and you're going to hear more about the Glass City Metro Park as well. Some interesting things happening over on the east side of Toledo. This block of Main Street from 1st Street to 2nd Street has all been acquired by a developer, and they're looking to redevelop that whole block, which we're excited about. The Wendy's on the corner of Front and Main was recently purchased, and it is my understanding that they will be raising that Wendy's and building a new Wendy's there that meets the current corporate standards. And then the Masonic Temple building that you see up there that again has been vacant for years and kind of an eyesore. There's a local development team that are working with the city and other partners, the land bank, to redevelop that building as well. So we're just continuing to see what we anticipated when the MetroParks announced a $200 million Glass City Riverwalk and reinvigorating our waterfront. We're seeing exactly what we anticipated happening along that water. In the Central Business District, we could talk about all kinds of projects, but there's a few that rise to the top. Certainly Discovery Theater, it's been an absolute home run. The Pythian Castle, I know Dean was here earlier, I'm not sure if he still is, but they've done an absolutely beautiful job on that place. That's actually a picture on the top floor. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Perry Teplitsky's here. He's doing the lofts on Jefferson. He did the lofts on Adams, and he tells me his windows are coming in on December 15th, and he'll get his occupancy before the end of the year. So we're pulling for you, Perry. And then the city of Toledo, Dave Ball and his brother are redoing the old Greyhound building, and the city of Toledo Department of Engineering will be moving in there hopefully sometime in the first quarter of next year. This has been a great example of a wonderful partnership. The land bank has been the lead effort on getting ownership back of the Nicholas and Spitzer building. And we've been partnered up with the land bank, the city, the Port Authority, the county, everybody working together to finish the due diligence on this so that we can get a request for proposal out and hopefully get a developer in 2022 to begin redeveloping two of the most iconic buildings in our community. These buildings were built in 1895. They've been sitting mostly vacant. The cool thing about both of these buildings is when they were built, there was no air conditioning, so there's windows everywhere, which makes it a perfect residential redevelopment opportunity. And they've hired a historic architect to help prepare the package, kind of look at the buildings, look at the structural integrity, and we anticipate sometime early 2022 collectively going out with a request for proposal for developers to help move that project forward. This is just another unbelievable project. So proud of what's happened in this community and being able to take what I would consider underinvested and in many instances neglected properties and bring them back to life. And so here are some renderings of the downtown Toledo, which used to be the Park Inn, is now under renovation, and this is what we call the Hiltons at Toledo downtown, half the Hilton Garden Inn, half Homewood Suites. And that's a $65 million project that's under construction right now, and probably not going to be done until the end of next year. Is that correct, Commissioner? Maybe early the following year? Okay, good. Okay, I appreciate the optimism. So we've invited a few of our development friends from the community to share with you some of what's going on and some of the projects they're working on. And first up is Kevin Prater, and those of you that don't know Kevin, you must be living under a rock, because Kevin has been an unbelievable partner for this community. Kevin is not from Toledo. We're very lucky that he married a girl from Waterville or White House, and she brought him to Toledo, and he saw a ton of opportunity here. He started with the what we call it, the Triangle Building, which is now the Standard Lofts. Then he did the Berdan Building. He's involved with Ford Industry Square. He's come to town. He's really not asked anybody for anything and quietly invested well over $100 million into this community. And he's a personal friend. And Kevin, thank you for being here, and love to hear what's going on.
Need to use these, but I will. So some people, I know a large portion of the people here. I don't know everyone. One thing that people don't know, I've been doing business in Toledo for 15 years, and that's kind of lost on a few people. So right now we're doing Ford Industry Square with the thanks of Sharon. She helped us a great deal on that. It's 70,000 square feet of commercial and 85 residential units. Some of you guys know Jake that's on the DTID board, been working for 8 years on this project with us. This has probably been the most difficult project I've ever done, actually. It is 13 different buildings, 13 different floor plans, 13 different floor levels, and we basically had a bad rehab in the 80s, some of you guys might remember. And some people went to jail over, I've heard. But we tore all that out, and we've redone everything in the building. You name it, it's been redone. Currently, Northwestern Mutual moved in on October 1st. They occupy roughly 15,000 square feet. The residential, I would say around 35 units are 100% done. We're working on getting our certificate of occupancy now. We're expected to have that by the end of the year, and the remaining will open probably February 1st. You know, we've redid everything from Summit to the river and from Jefferson to Monroe. It has been, again, one of the most challenging projects. We have a few other tenants. I know Paul talked about Bobcat Bonnie's, which is moving in, I would say, probably March. They have 6 restaurants in Metro Detroit. It is something that's not really in the Toledo market. They are going to have, which I'm a big fan of Sunday brunch. So that's a big thing for me. They're going to bring a totally different personality to downtown Toledo. Paul's moving in when I'm supposed to be doing it. NASB. Now here's going to be a challenge, but this one's all outside. I think it's, what, Brandon, middle of January supposed to close, right? I'm going to pay for the TARDIS station, and as part of that, we get the whole building. That project's going to be a challenge with itself. It really needs an anchor tenant to make it work financially, because you want to stack on the incentives. That project, it's going to be a big number to do that project. It's going to take 3 summers just to do the restoration on the exterior, because whenever they modernized it, probably in the 50s, I would say, they destroyed most of the architectural character on the outside. It can be rehabbed and recreated. We've done that a couple times. We actually did this in Detroit, a similar building. We did a project in Lansing just like it. I think it'll be a challenge, but it will be one project that the community should be greatly, greatly proud of when it's done.
Yeah, so just a quick side story. This building sits kitty corner to the Spitzer building, and I get my hair cut down at the Toledo Club, and the barber down there used to be in the Spitzer building, and he told me the story of the day that they showed up with lifts and sledgehammers, knocking all of the terracotta off there so that they could put the steel up and put the flat panels to modernize the building. And so, as Kevin says, it's going to be one heck of a challenge, but it's going to be absolutely a gem back to our community, hopefully in the next several years.
So anyone that knows, we're not putting the spire back on top that was originally on top of the building. The project that we're doing most, probably going to start here in the spring, is the Overmeyer or the Commerce Paper project, 15 South Ontario. You guys are familiar with? We bought it roughly 2 years ago, and that's going to be 75 units residential, exposed concrete, that type of project, something that's not here in Toledo. You know, one of the things that we've done here, I'm going to take some of my other experience. We did a project recently that finished, I don't know, a couple years ago, and it was an old bus station area. It was the bus terminal, and it was bad. Any kind of criminal, bad behavior you ever saw. When we did that, everyone thought we were crazy. All the people, the math people, we programmed $1 square foot rents there for all the space. Today, we just signed a lease for $36 triple net for commercial space, and we just talked with a guy just recently from Chicago, and we're talking $50 square foot for commercial rents there. It is a different plan. You know, my plan for Toledo, and it's not ties to everybody's mind, but the number, we have to get to 10,000 residential tenants downtown before we can really make a big difference. I think we're, Paul knows, 3,500, 4,000 close right now. But until we make that turn, it's going to be hard to drive all the tenants and all the services everybody seems to think they want. But until we do that, when we do that, the floodgates of things that can happen in the community would be unbelievable. There is some things that we still have to worry about. I know Paul made a comment about studios. I don't know how to rent studios. People in the market are just not interested in studios for whatever reason. Maybe at certain price points, but those price points don't really work with the rental rates to make the construction cost work here. So that's something that we got to figure out how to make that work. I do believe in the mixed income a lot, because you need all incomes in the same building, because that makes for a better community. So this project we're hoping to be finished in early 2023.
Good. Well, that's the end of your slides, Kevin.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, I thank Kevin every time I see him, because it takes guys like him that have the intestinal fortitude to see opportunity where others see nothing but challenge and failure. And so he's been really great for our community, and he's been great for some of our local grown developers. Kevin goes out of his way to help anybody in this community, in this downtown community that needs help, and I really appreciate that. He's helped us coordinate and get everybody working together on applying for historic tax credits, so we're not competing with each other. We're actually identifying what our priorities are and coming together. And so with that, I want to bring up Julia Randles. Julia is part of the dynamic duo now known as Crane Development, partnered with Matt Rubin. And they recently finished a project, Library Square, that she's going to talk about. But they're one of our homegrown developers that are unbelievably sophisticated. They really, I think, did the first opportunity zone project in downtown. I know Fred Truhaft has also done one, and those are just hard things to wrap your head around. And then when you start adding historic tax credits and new market tax credits, the world just gets fuzzy. And I give these guys a lot of credit for stepping up and doing what they've done, and we want to help them any way we can. And Julia, you're up.
Thank you, Paul. So I think we're going to do a brief overview of our Library Square project. It's recently completed. It's located on Madison, just across the street from the library here. So I hope you all take a look on your way out. It's a mixed-use development. We're anchored in multifamily. This is an example of our two-bedroom, two-bath units. There are 6 of these. We were really interested in bringing in a new product, something that was fresh and forward-thinking. We stayed with some sophisticated lines, exposed brick, mixing the old and the new, recessed lighting, and it's been well received by our tenants so far. Also really important to us on this project was to make sure our tenants had access to outdoor space as well as assigned parking, and so we were able to do a significant redevelopment in the back of these buildings as well to take what was buildings in disrepair and provide something more valuable with this outdoor deck space. Another component to this project is the first floor commercial. We've got 3 really exciting first floor tenants. Interesting story, 2 of the tenants are young women, entrepreneurs who were out in Northwood in a strip mall doing beauty salon and bridal salon, and always had this dream of coming downtown and being in a more urban, exciting environment. And we were very lucky that they came to Library Square. They're right next door to each other. They get to set out their dreams together and be a local, homegrown young entrepreneur, and we're really proud to have them. Our third tenant is BMWC Constructors. They're a industrial construction company. They have a regional office here and are part of a larger national firm. So we're excited to have them as well. And then the third component of our Library Square project is our Library Square Suites. These are studios. We saw this building, it's one of 4 as part of our overall development, and the original layout was really intriguing. It was very efficient. It provided everything someone would need in a very small package, only 400 square feet. And so while in the upper left corner here you see rather uninviting existing structure, we elected to change nothing within the bones of this building, but instead just give it a facelift and then fully furnish it and provide it for corporate housing or short-term stay. And we're really happy with the modest success we've seen here. In the future, we hope to continue doing what we are doing at the smaller scale. We've got great friends like Kevin in the industry, and we've got some properties that we already own that are next on our list. We're excited about bringing the neighborhood and urban environment to blocks like Madison or Adams Street, and we're really hoping that our opportunity zone investment, both with local investors and outside investors, will continue. And we're excited to keep going.
Great, thank you, Julia. Again, just I met these guys a couple years ago, and I don't think they maybe had done one little project over on Adams Street, and they took on this Library Square project, and I couldn't be more proud of how they just figured out the puzzle, and it is a puzzle. Guys like Kevin have been doing this for years, and it takes a long time to understand how the pieces fit together, and these guys did it in a really short time, and proud of having some local grown talent to be doing this. So this is one of the most exciting investments that we have going in the community, and with us is Commissioner Wozniak. You know, Lucas County kind of got downtown all started back in 2001 with Fifth Third Field. They went out on a limb. They took a risk, which you have to do. And then they parlayed that with the Huntington Center, and now they've stepped up once again with the Convention Center and the Toledo Hilton. So without further ado, Commissioner Wozniak. See, you don't even need that.
I didn't think so. So we certainly needed a ballroom that could hold up to 1,000 persons, and we needed to remodel this old, tired-looking convention center. So I think what you get to see here is a great opportunity. If you just back up on that first slide, how many of us are tired of looking at that cement wall that we looked at for years and years and years? The design of that was painful for most of us when you travel up and down Monroe Street. I think the most exciting part is first of all just to see the light, just to see the fact that the terrace area is on the left of the slide overlooks the ballpark. And at first this was going to be turned around and it was going to face the river, but with good intention, it was just, we have a lot of opportunity on the river these days, but we had less and less opportunity to change this wall and to overlook the Fifth Third Field. So I think it's really going to be exciting. We're so excited about the entryway is going to be lit. There's going to be a major art opportunity, and it's going to be terrific. And then here is a little bit of the inside of the function. And just remember, the Convention Center holds about 160 events a year, and after the upgrades, they'll host about 200 events a year. They host about 125,000 people a year now. With the upgrades, they'll host about 200,000 people. So all this work is going to pay off to the tune of about $800 million over 10 years on economic impact. The neat part about seeing the new entryway and seeing the long hall that takes you down, this is a seamless pre-function space that we know will get used a lot, but you can either go outside to the terrace and overlook the ballpark, or you can go right into the ballroom and have your event. So it's going to be multi-usable space, and it's going to just be beautiful. one of the exciting things is there's approximately $1.5 million of artwork that will take place. It will be the largest amount of money ever put into public art into a facility. So we're really excited about that. And the team of people such as the Arts Commission and Adam Levine from the Museum of Art, everyone's working very, very hard, the Collaborative and others, to make sure that we have a beautiful art program within this structure. I don't think when we thought about all the changes that were going to happen that we would realize we'd end up with a beautiful park. And I'm happy for all of us that we're going to have this space, particularly for your building as well. I could almost call it the Prater Park, you know. You can, but it's going to be great usable space for the convention center to be able to exit the beautiful new glass entry into the convention center out into this very usable, nice space that can be used for parties and such, or for just milling around. A beautiful art project will exist in this building, and I think it's just going to create a look that we are really vibrant, new, and something exciting to be a part of. There will be a cafe. We've tried that concept, I think, currently, but it never really took off. This is an opportunity to bring in local vendors to do different kinds of things. So we're excited to see how this cafe piece can blossom as we move forward. And there's a little bit of the picture of the park. So I just think it's going to help us compete. And I think it's going to bring thousands and thousands of people to a space that is well-deserved. And thank you for all of you for being a part of it and helping us get here.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. And this was actually designed by local firm Collaborative. And I think Lathrop's the construction manager on it. So putting a lot of people to work in downtown with all these various projects going on. So we shared with you a couple of developers that are making a difference. There are so many others. I mentioned Perry Teplitsky. Perry's not from Toledo. I'm not sure. Are you still a resident of Arizona, Perry? No? Okay, so he's finally a resident of Ohio now, but Perry came to Toledo, saw an opportunity downtown, and did the lofts on Adams. Now he's doing the lofts on Jefferson. Again, just amazed at folks that come here and just kind of fall in love with the opportunity and take the risk to invest their hard-earned money. One of those entrepreneurs in our community, I'll introduce him shortly, I guess. I'll talk a little bit about Uptown first. We're excited about the Jefferson Center in Uptown. That's a development, the old post office that was converted into a vocational school for TPS. And I was with ProMedica earlier today. They have taken the lead on this. They have gathered up all of their new market and historic tax credits, and anticipate starting that project in February or March. Always a perfect time to start a construction project in Toledo, but the Toledo School for the Arts just recently announced an expansion for their, it's on the fronting on Adams Street. Very excited about that. Had a group in here the other day, and we were walking around the neighborhood, and they asked, "What's that building?" I said, "Well, it's Toledo School for the Arts." They said, "What is it?" I said, "Well, it's only the #1 charter school in the state of Ohio and the 5th ranked charter school in the country. And it's a great little gem in our community that we all should be proud of. And it's nice to see them continuing to invest in everything that's going on around there." Another exciting project is the Village on the Green, which is a workforce housing project. It's being done, again, ProMedica is helping coordinate this, but it's being done by Windsor Group out of Columbus. And they also anticipate breaking ground on that, actually starting some site demolition later this year. So excited about what's happening in Uptown. And Andrew Newby, for those of you that don't know Andrew, he started here, I met Andrew probably 15 years ago. He was an IT consultant and was doing some work for us at the Port Authority. And I've come to appreciate what a great entrepreneur he is. If you haven't been to Toledo Spirits, go there. It's a cool spot. That's Andrew's start, and he's going to tell us about everything that's going on in Uptown and what's going on at 1301 Adams.
Thanks, Paul. Hi. So we've all heard the old adage that is there anything beer can't do? So we've kind of taken that to heart as we've developed our brewery. Opened in May of this year in the Heavy Underground, which is the basement of Bellwether, our cocktail bar. And our concept with Heavy is to really start a brewery that helps redevelop our neighborhoods, helps redevelop our communities, and creates an environment that allows people to kind of live their best life, live your heavy life. And so we seek to create this persona within a community environment, within a brewery environment. So with that, we've envisioned 3 locations for Heavy that each kind of take their own action around this idea of improving our communities and living your best life. Starting with Heavy Underground in the Vistula neighborhood, within the Toledo Spirits campus, as part of this initial environment. Our next location is the Heavy Wheelhouse in partnership with the MetroParks and Black Kite Coffee. We are activating a building within the Beach Ridge area inside the MetroParks. So yes, we're brewing beer, we're drinking beer inside the MetroPark. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. Thank you. This will be open by the end of this year. It's a very exciting project. We're really proud to be a part of the vision of the MetroParks within this area. This is a mountain biking area. This is a archery area. This is a yoga area. This is a hiking area. This is a very active lifestyle space. So us being able to move in there and create this environment to support that is a brand new concept to the region. So we're excited and proud to be able to be a part of that and kind of set that course for the Oak Openings area. Our third location is the Heavy Village within Uptown. And as part of that, while we go through bringing in private equity to Uptown as we work within the opportunity zone there, we're really developing a concept that kind of shows our true colors, shows our idea of creating this active lifestyle environment that promotes this healthy living environment. So we've taken on three projects as far as this goes. The initial project is the Uptown Loop, and then the Urban Village, which is the core of Heavy Village, and then the Adams Street Alley. The Uptown Loop, in support from the MetroParks, support from the Arts Commission, with matching funding from Heavy Beer Co., is creating an urban loop. It's creating a walking area within Uptown that we really hope to set as a model for other neighborhoods within downtown, potentially to see these walking paths promote sidewalk-based activity, engagement at the street level by pedestrians within these retail spaces, bars, restaurants, etc. Get people out onto the street and really look at downtown Toledo from a pedestrian perspective and really help create some of these spaces. Paul mentioned slowing traffic down in the east side. That's actually one of those key areas as we think about walkability within our neighborhoods. So putting our money where our mouth is, we're looking to create one of these loops ourselves. So we're designing a Uptown Loop. We're going to work with ProMedica on some plans that they had already developed. We're going to take those and we're going to apply those to Uptown to create at least 3 walking paths, hopefully a 1 mile, a 2 mile, and a 3 mile walking path. There'll be signage and it'll show you the routes. So on your lunch break, while you're grabbing a beer in the Dora, get out, walk around the neighborhood, know where you're going, know how far you've walked, and be able to engage Uptown, engage downtown Toledo within at that street level. The actual Heavy Village at 1301 Adams Street, we own from 13th to 14th Street on Adams Street, across the street from TSA. We are bringing private equity dollars into this space to create a multi-function space, all commercial, really designed around how do we create a high-density environment within one single building. As we think about the idea of 10,000 people living in downtown Toledo, we have to give them all these reasons, right? We want to see this, we want to see these residential units be created, but we also have to justify them moving down here, give them things to do. So working on about 60,000 square feet to create this multi-use, multi-function, probably not multi-use, multi-function space where there's a brewery, there's a food hall, there's an 800-person concert venue. Do you remember we used to have music concerts downtown? You know, missing Mickey Finn's, missing the Bijou, missing these places that created these great concerts coming downtown. We need another space like that. So creating a venue like that, and creating these other opportunities such as small retail spaces for a bike shop or another coffee shop or anything along those lines, that we create this high density space where there's traffic from a tourism perspective and from a residence perspective. Oops. Good. Yeah. Along the same lines as how do we use our power of beer for good, along those same lines, we are developing the Adams Street Galley. And that's something that's very near and dear to my heart. How do we use food entrepreneurism to improve our communities? How do we empower people to start businesses? How do we create an environment that reduces the risk of opening a restaurant or starting a food truck? So we developed the Adams Street Galley that really promotes diversity, that promotes inclusion in the entrepreneurial environment. So working with organizations like SIFT, ProMedica E&P, Opportunity Kitchen, Lucas County Workforce Development, on and on, and a large number of organizations coming together to create a coalition to support an entrepreneurial environment that will allow people that want to start this food truck or want to get their enchiladas into the frozen food section of Kroger's, or whatever their vision may be, whatever their dream may be, creating an environment that supports them, that carries them through. It has an economic development impact in Toledo and Northwest Ohio as a region as a whole.
That's it? Thank you.
I think
it is. I think it's, we cut your other 11 slides out. No, I don't know if it's the Toledo Spirits or the heavy beer, but I got to get some of that enthusiasm that he's got because it's awesome. Thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. There is a renaissance going up and down Summit Street right now. If you haven't experienced it, you need to. Starting down at the end in the old umbrella factory, I can't remember the name of it, but yes, thank you, is TOL House, and this is a development by Will Lucas and his wife, and I walked into that building before he had hardly even touched it, and I walked around and I just kind of shook my head and really didn't see it, but my God, did he do an unbelievable job in there. If you haven't been in there, please take the time to go do a visit. It's a members club. It's modeled off of Soho House, which is in New York and Chicago and other places, and it's really about connecting the entrepreneurial and the people that really want to make a difference in this community. And so hats off to Will and what he's done there. He also recently just bought another building on Summit Street just down the way from that, and he's looking at putting a market and deli and going to serve deli style sandwiches. And if you think Andrew's got a lot of enthusiasm, you ought to meet Will. Very impressed with what he's doing. We've all of a sudden down Summit Street just sprung up all these entrepreneurs that are really just changing our community in a big way. A couple of other projects that as a community we just ought to be unbelievably proud of is the Wonder Bread redevelopment project. That's Kevin and Ambria Michaelichek. It's been probably a month since I've talked to Kevin, but they hadn't even advertised, they hadn't really put the units up for lease yet, and he had already leased up 11 of 33 units in this building. He's done an unbelievable job in there. It is urban redevelopment at its finest. This was, again, a building that was hard to have. I mean, up on the third floor, this thing had this huge oven in there, and boy, to have the vision that they've had in what they've done there. I know that they've gotten a lot of support from LISC and others in the community, the land bank, all partnered to come together, and that's really what it takes. It takes a whole village. Lower Town Commons, I mentioned Fred earlier. Fred may have actually been the first opportunity zone, but I think that Matt and Julia kind of beat him to the closing. But again, very forward-looking. Lower Town Commons is a redevelopment of a metropolitan distributing warehouse, an old church that you see there on the bottom right, and they brought in their first tenant there. They're in the process of redeveloping that, and hope to at least get some parts of this open yet this year, and we'll see a lot of it reopening in 2022. Now I want to switch to the riverfront, and we've made a lot of great progress already. Probably the keystone project that was identified in our master plan done in 2017 was, what was it? It wasn't called the Glass City Riverwalk at the time, but we have since renamed it. There you go, the Nautical Mile. I think Bruce still calls it the Nautical Mile. You know, the MetroParks just continue to shine. They stepped up. They were clearly the right partner for this, and Scott Carpenter's with us tonight to share with you kind of an update on the progress and where we stand with that project. Scott, you got a clicker there. It might be easier if you do that yourself, but I'm happy to do it for you, but I don't want to throw you off.
Well, great. Well, so much excitement and so much creativity, and we're just so happy to be a part of it, coming from more of a suburban park district until recent years. We're in a lot of new rooms with a lot of creative, exciting people, and we just could not be more pleased. 1 year ago this month, actually, MetroParks opened Manhattan Marsh Preserve in a North Toledo neighborhood just north of downtown, making good on a pledge that we made to place a MetroPark within 5 miles of every home in Lucas County. Today we have 19 parks, 200 miles of trails, and 12,700 acres of natural beauty. Like cities across America, we recently took a hard look at our waterfront and concluded that the Maumee is not only an important part of our history, but of our future. Cities from Columbus to Nashville have invested heavily in their riverfronts to inject vitality into their communities with great success. We have a vision for our riverfront, and when I say we, it's MetroParks, ConnecToledo, the county commissioners, the city, and a host of public and private partners of all sizes. That vision includes a system of multi-use trails that connect 6 neighborhoods on both sides of the Maumee, more than 300 acres of green space and recreational parkland, a transformed riverfront providing equitable access to clean, safe, and natural experiences, a waterfront that protects our environment, restoring natural areas, creating wetlands, and planting thousands of trees, an economic impact of $700 million by generating private construction investment and increased property values. Most exciting is that this isn't just a vision. This is a plan. We call it the Glass City Riverwalk, and it's already happening. The first step in developing Riverwalk was Glass City MetroPark, which is between Front Street and the Maumee River on the east side. Phase 1 opened a year ago, December. Phase 2 is currently under construction, massive construction right now. It's a buzz of activity. Phase 2 is twice the size of Phase 1, and it's where a lot of the unique features are going to come into play. And just to give you a sense of where Phase 2 is, in the bottom left corner of this picture here is the stern of the museum ship at the National Museum of the Great Lakes. So that gives you some cues. The museum will actually be inside the MetroPark when we're done, and so will the Skyway Marina, which is going to come under MetroParks ownership next year. The hub of activity for Glass City Metro Park, and really one of the hubs of the entire Riverwalk, will be All Seasons Plaza. And as its name implies, it's going to be designed as a year-round destination. So in the summer, you'll see something like this with some water play areas for families. And in the winter, we're going to have this new feature for our region, an ice skating ribbon. 18,000 square feet of skating surface that will be refrigerated, Zambonied, and ready for all winter use. In the background there, in the bottom, you see a building. That's where we'll rent skates. There'll be a lot of activity there. It will also be the home of our first full-service restaurant in a Metro Park mentioned earlier, called Poco Piatti at the Park. Some of the Phase 2 amenities include some really exciting children's play areas that will attract people of all ages, really, build physical and mental wellness, encourage risk-taking and learning, and build on the appreciation of the natural world. It is the Metro Parks, after all. These pictures are of the Mini Maumee, a water play area. So just to kind of give you an overview of the footprint here. So in the middle of the screen is the Martin Luther King Bridge, and at the top is the Glass City Skyway. In between is Glass City Metro Park, with Phase 1 closer to the Martin Luther King Bridge, and Phase 2 the rest of it. Below the Martin Luther King Bridge, going down to the Anthony Wayne Bridge, is International Park, which will be fully renovated and become part of the park. So we will have one continuous Metro Park from the Skyway to the high level, and as well as Riverwalk, which will continue on the downtown side. And that's more a matter of connecting the dots of the various corporate campuses and public properties already there, including the large parcel that Paul mentioned earlier, where the warehouses are just upriver of the bridges. Very quick overview. It's a really exciting project, the largest thing we've ever done, and I'd encourage you to check it out at glasscityriverwalk.com. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Okay, we're just about done. We've gone a little over time here, but I hope it's worth it for everybody. Next up is, we had to change this slide last minute. It went from commissioner to director, just like that. Well-deserved, though. Very well-deserved. I'm so proud of Brandon. He's a great partner, and he really represents the city and the mayor's office unbelievably, and is a big part of the success that Toledo's having right now. So Brandon's going to share some of the programs at the city.
Thanks, Paul. You know, one of the advantages of working at the city is we get to be involved, or at least aware, of just about all of the projects that were announced tonight. But what I love most about coming to these meetings is that it really starts to connect the dots, right? I mean, this is an overwhelming amount of development happening in this community, and we need to take a second and celebrate our wins, right? I mean, this is the point of this annual meeting, and even for someone that works this every day, it's overwhelming to see all of the projects that are going on. So we should be really happy and excited as a community to see the progress. So I just wanted to mention that from a personal standpoint. From the city's perspective, we've got a few other exciting updates to add to tonight's list, one of which is the Vibrancy Initiative. One of the things that we hear all the time from our entrepreneurs or from our developers is that these buildings are bad math problems, right? They just don't make sense all the time. And there needs to be other resources at state, federal, and local levels to be able to support those. And so one of the things that we did this year is we stood up a program, an initiative called the Vibrancy Initiative that introduces 3 new programs to support that end. The first of which is a CRA, it's a tax abatement on new investment, which has been around, but we looped it in with this initiative because it could benefit the other 2. The second is a facade improvement grant. The city had a facade improvement grant numerous years ago. We brought it back. This provides a grant up to $40,000, 50-50 match from the city and from the private developer that could help a developer or an entrepreneur revitalize the front of their building, which is something that we know that we need in this community, particularly in our neighborhood business districts where maybe some of the investment has occurred yet or is well on its way. The third program is the White Box program. We can put a new facade on a building and it could look great. But if it's vacant, it doesn't really move the needle for us at the end of the day. And so one of the things that we introduced is the White Box program, where we are going to provide grants to do code upgrade grants to ground floor commercial spaces, particularly in the neighborhood business districts, but also throughout our downtown and uptown areas. Really important grant. As I mentioned, a lot of these buildings have been vacant for decades. They don't meet today's codes, and there's a significant investment to do that. This grant can help with that. Some infrastructure improvements. It's hard to talk about downtown without not walking down Summit Street and seeing the streetscape, beautiful streetscape that's been completed there. Still have some work to do. We have a new art installation going in the middle of the boulevard there that will be hopefully happening before the end of the year. $10 million project, was done before Solheim Cup, and I really think we put our best foot forward as a community by having that done in time. Another exciting infrastructure project is the Jefferson Cycle Track. This project also done this year. It's a 2-lane cycle track that extends from Water Street, where the Glass City Riverwalk will be, all the way to Collingwood. It's kind of a exciting development, especially now that we have electric scooters and bikes that I think, definitely take advantage of the cycle track. Another project on deck is the Levis Square Phase 3. So many of you have had an event at Levis and seen Phase 1 and Phase 2. There's one more phase of that. And what you see here on the right side of the screen is what part has been redeveloped. Don Juan is closer to Paul on that side of the screen there. So Phase 3 is about a $1 million project that will basically expand Levis Square and kind of blur that line between where the Don Juan restaurant is and the existing space. You can see new landscaping, new seating, signage, and lighting. Another project that maybe is kind of off the beaten path in terms of main development stage downtown is the federal courthouse project. This has been in the works for decades, but now it's officially under construction. This is a $86 million investment by the federal government. There's 2 projects here. The first is a 96,000 square foot addition, which they're calling the Annex, and that's over there on the right. And then the other project will renovate the existing Ashley Courthouse, set to be done in 2024. As a part of that project and others occurring on the mall, we as a community said we probably need to take a step back and rethink the Civic Center Mall. This is one of the largest green spaces in downtown Toledo. We all know it hasn't reached its full potential. And so we partnered with ConnecToledo, we partnered with MetroParks, and a number of other organizations to come up with a master plan for the Civic Center Mall that will introduce new landscaping, new landscape architecture to complement the major investment that will be occurring there by the federal government. A key component of this that you'll see there is Jackson Street that is highlighted just there to the south. And on the second screen here, Paul, if you can advance this for me, you can see the importance to Jackson Street. So a lot of what you heard tonight is there's a lot of momentum on the river. We're trying to get that into the neighborhoods and progress that into our other areas of our community. Jackson Street represents an interesting connector for us and an interesting opportunity to rethink a boulevard that might not make the most sense for us going forward. Jackson could be an interesting connection between what's happening at the Glass City Riverwalk and connecting it to our revitalized Civic Center Mall. So there's definitely more to come on Civic Center Mall. We're in the very master plan conceptual phases of that, but excited to rethink that space as we rethink all of our open green spaces downtown. So with that, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Brandon. If you leave with nothing else tonight, leave with the fact that never in the history of Toledo have we been working more cooperatively, pulling in the same direction, and really all starting to see the same vision together than we have in the recent years, and it's an exciting time to be part of it. I've got one more slide, and I just want to share just a little bit about what's next. We've gone through some whiteboarding with some of our partners in and around downtown, and I think we quickly came to the realization, and Kevin mentioned this, he's a little more aggressive, but he mentioned 10,000. Right now we got about 3,700 people living downtown. We've got a big goal of trying to double that in the next 10 years. That's 300 plus units coming online every year for the next 10 years. And I think with the success that we've had, where the momentum is, where the market is, that we're gonna do everything we can to reach that goal. And we've got a lot of great development partners to help that happen. And then, of course, you know, when you double the number of residents, it starts to encourage the attraction of retail and amenities. And so we're starting to look at developing a plan and a kind of a strategy on what that looks like, and focusing on certain nodes, and I think that's a big part of it. The other thing that we've never really had is a prioritized list of capital improvements, and so we're partnering with the city. ProMedica's working in Uptown. They've got their own specific list, but really kind of driving a priority list of streetscape improvements. We kind of set the standard with Summit Street, and now we need to extend that into the rest of downtown. With the effort going on at the Jefferson Center, our goal is to develop a downtown redevelopment district and an innovation district. We think that, you know, the stuff that's happening on the fringes that Andrew talked about, and the cool district up and along Adams Street in Uptown, we think that's a great border for what could be a really cool innovation district in that area. Simply tell our story. We consistently challenge ourselves that we've got a really good story to tell and don't always get a chance to tell it right, and so we need to step up our game in the next 12 months to make sure that we're sharing our success with the community and make sure that everybody enjoys in that success. We will be focusing in 2022 on becoming a much more activated downtown. We've got organizations like the Mud Hens that are doing events, and we've got ProMedica, and we've got the city, and ConnecToledo, and the Arts Commission, and we really want to try to bring all of those organizations together, think out of the box a little bit, and really kind of come up with some creative ways of getting people to come downtown. People that are down here enjoy it. Most of the people that come down on weekends or for special events, and we really just want to step up our game. There's a lot of benchmarking we can do in other communities. And then, you know, we can't redevelop downtown as an island, so there's got to be an effort to continue to lift up those neighborhoods. Garfield over in East Toledo, Vistula, Lower Town, whatever we're calling it, Old South End, really figuring out what our role is as ConnecToledo, and working with the city and figuring out what we can do to make sure that we're kind of raising that whole area around, in and around downtown. Oh, I actually have two more. Coffee Connections, this is a quarterly update. We send it out to everybody. Come join us, basically just have coffee and kind of update everybody on what's going on, answer questions, get feedback. It's a great opportunity for us to interact with each other. We forgot to mention the excitement of the new scooters downtown, and we found some pictures on the internet that brought that to life, so we thought we'd share that. Unfortunately, I don't think the mayor's here to take credit for that, but that was an exciting time for Toledo when he got on that scooter and then found himself everywhere. Anyway, that concludes our presentation tonight. Can't thank the partners enough that came out here and shared some of what they're doing, and really excited for what 2022 has for us, and just to keep the pedal to the metal. This is not the time for us to let up and rest on our laurels, so time to double down. Thank you.